Okay, we are back for episode 2. Thanks for coming in, guys, and listening. I'm back with Professor Ismail. Thank you for coming. He's back in Dubai again. I'm really happy to continue. This is what you guys asked for, so we're going to continue this journey down the Tapped In podcast. My name is Akil Bilal, and I'm here hosting this with my dear friend and Professor Ismail Bass. In this episode, we want to talk about the shift in jiu-jitsu and how it shifted from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and how it has grown across the globe and how it has shifted and moved to different areas and the growth within those areas. So welcome, Professor Ismail.
Marhaban, salam alaikum.
Yes. Walaikum salam to Allah.
Hey.
Alhamdulillah. We're back, brother. Thanks for coming, man. I know you're tired. You've been traveling, moving around, a jet setter, but alhamdulillah, you're here.
Yes.
And once we get flowing, man, you'll get the juices flowing.
We're ready.
We were talking off camera about how jiu-jitsu has shifted now, and there was a huge migration of instructors and masters that left Brazil and moved, I think, to United States in the beginning, right?
Yes.
So it went from Brazil to United States,
Yes.
mainly out in California in the beginning. So maybe we can start there and then talk about how it has spread and how you see it in terms of the paradigm shift now in 2025.
So if you allow me, Akil, I'll quickly go through how jiu-jitsu has always evolved and spread. So first, it actually started in India with the monks there. And from India, it spread into Japan. People think that jiu-jitsu started in Japan. It actually started in India. And then from Japan, it evolved a little bit. And then from Japan, it moved to Brazil. Now, in Brazil, the connection with Japan is that in Brazil, you have the most Japanese living outside of Japan in the world. They live in Brazil.
Right.
There's a lot of trade history. There's a lot of history between the two countries. And so when the Count Medini, when he got to Brazil, this guy was a businessman, actually, and a trader. I've done reports on this guy. Amazing individual. He was international. And so when he got to Brazil, he linked up with the Gracie family. The Gracie family were also very wealthy and diplomatic, and so they hosted him. And so by him doing trade, specifically with Brazilian nuts and other things like that to Japan, he taught them jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And so from that, the Gracie family evolved it and added things to it, and has been adding since then, each place that it goes. Now, in the 90s, we see a shift where the UFC was developed. And the UFC was developed by Rorion Gracie.
Right.
And Rorion Gracie, he didn't do it alone. I remember Master Higa Machado was talking about how they were having a discussion amongst the family with Hickson and different people. And they talked about a ring and how people used to fall out of the ring in the Vale-Tudos in Brazil.
Okay.
And so they came up with that concept of creating some type of octagon where people couldn't fall out of the ring and the grappling could still be used. Okay. So at that point in the 90s, jiu-jitsu started being shipped from Brazil to the U.S. from the grappling elites.
Okay, the Gracies and the Machados.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
If you want me to expand further on that, what happened was, we call it a brain drain in sociology. So a brain drain is when you have the intellectuals from a society, the intelligentsia from a society, and they move from that society to another society that's more beneficial. For example, in the late 1970s, most of the doctors out of Pakistan, they moved to the U.S.
Right.
So if you go there today, you'll see a lot of wealthy doctors and engineers that are of Pakistani origin. Asia in general,
yeah.
Living in the U.S.
Right.
Same thing with NASA. NASA had German scientists. Germans were the leaders of innovation and technology prior to World War II.
Right.
After that, there was such an influx of German scientists. They helped build all the core foundation of NASA, and now the U.S. is the hub of innovation. Same thing with jiu-jitsu,
Right.
as we can relate it. You had all the Gracies, the top Gracies, the Machados, they moved to the U.S. Even their citizens now. Renzo Gracie is in New York. He's a citizen. John Jacques Machado, Higan Machado, Hickson Gracie. You had Jacare, he's in Atlanta. That's who. Kaiki. All these guys who are the masters of jiu-jitsu. Salo Ribeiro, Alexandre Ribeiro. His brother came, he was a brown belt. I was there. And he competed in Master Helson Gracie's tournament in Columbus, Ohio.
So many.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the Meow brothers are in New York now. So you have so much brain drain that now you have that second and third wave. I would call it third wave of jiu-jitsu there, where you got a John Donahue, who's a student of Renzo Gracie, and you produce a Gordon Ryan, right? A Master Lloyd Irvin, who was under Leo Dalla, which is Alliance, and then you produce a Jamil Ali Taylor.
Yeah.
You produce these world champions now. The Mendez brothers also, Atos, Andre Galvalo.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is impeccable.
Yeah. So now it made its way, particularly to the West Coast. I think West Coast has always been in America in the forefront, in my opinion, of martial arts.
Yes.
Just because of the large Asian population there from the Philippines, from Japan, from China. So they've always been, the Hollywood movies. Bruce Lee was there. So, the West Coast is, in my opinion, has always led martial arts. And then, of course, I think the weather. The weather in Southern California is very similar to Rio de Janeiro.
Very similar.
Surfing, laid-back culture. So I think that probably also attracted a lot of the Brazilians to come to California.
Right.
So that could be it. Now it's shifted to this area, to this part of the world. It's shifted to Dubai, in the Emirates, Abu Dhabi in particular. What is your take on how jiu-jitsu has shifted from not even shifted, it's expanded to this part of the world now, the United Arab Emirates in particular. Now I'm seeing billboards, the new capital of the capital of jiu-jitsu.
Yes,
there are actually billboards here that says the world capital of jiu-jitsu here. So
absolutely,
that's a bold claim. So, but I think they put the resources and the time behind it. I remember when I started out as a white belt coming over here competing into what it is today, where they got well over 1,000 black belts, I think, easily in Emirates now. Over 1,000 black belts. Wow. The largest concentration of black belts outside of Brazil is just right here in this country. So what do you think about how it's expanding in the Gulf in particular, in Jordan? Maybe you could talk about some of your experiences as well.
So what I would say respectfully is that, and I've said this before, all black belts aren't created equally.
Right.
So you can have 20,000 black belts, but if you have that one master, he can produce great champions or great jiu-jitsu practitioners, excuse me. So I think here, yes, they've invested a lot of money. They've been in the game a long time now, almost 30 years. They brought jiu-jitsu from California. Sheikh Tahnoon, he studied in California. They did jiu-jitsu.
Teaching the kids as well.
Yeah, they brought it back. They put it in all the schools. They bought initially 300 black belts. And they had a nice program. They still have a nice program and development going. I think they are focused on one side of jiu-jitsu, which is more geared towards the Olympics, which is gi. They're very focused on gi here. Yeah. Since you want to talk about the region, I would say UAE is dominant when it comes to competing in the gi, whereas Kuwait, they have a lot of guys who are good in no gi.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very good in no gi.
How did that happen? Just
I think it's a natural shift. A lot of the Kuwaitis, they study in the U.S.
Okay, so
educational,
maybe
educationally,
no-gi.
Right? And the gyms that they ended up at, it kind of adopted more to their style. And you'll notice in Kuwait, you have mostly, from what I've seen, more than 90% the black belts are Kuwaiti.
Okay.
Okay, and so they have went out and they've been in the game also a long time, back and forth studying.
But even in like Bahrain, you've got good jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You got Riza and those guys out
Yeah,
there.
solid.
Like
Manfredi,
solid,
yeah.
solid jiu-jitsu from back in the day.
Way back in the day, yeah.
Jordan.
Oh yeah, for Jordan, yeah. As for Jordan, same thing. Maybe all of their black belts in Jordan are Jordanian, or some type of Arab origin, and they've done a lot. It was backed by the king there,
Okay.
and so jiu-jitsu. Even a taxi driver has a basic understanding of jiu-jitsu in Jordan, and maybe a minimum of a blue belt.
So people don't understand, for the listeners and the people who are watching. In these countries, they are now implementing jiu-jitsu as part of the training regimen for the police, for the military, for the special forces. So you've got young guys, 17, 18, 19 years old, going into the military or the police force, learning jiu-jitsu, also doing jiu-jitsu for their hobbies, for example. So
Yes.
it's spreading really fast. I mean, nowadays, when I say I do jiu-jitsu, it's a topic to talk about. Before, people would look at me like, what is that? Now everybody knows what jiu-jitsu is.
Right,
So
right.
That's very, very interesting to watch in just a very short amount of time. We're talking, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's spread a lot. And I think a lot of credit obviously has to go to Hoist Gracie, because that's who woke us all up, and the Gracie family and the Machados, to do that UFC and to see a smaller person dominate big people without even hurting them. See, that's the thing. That's why it's the gentle art. He was able to subdue people without bruising them up, without battering them too hard,
Right.
and to submit them. And so
It was an art.
it was an art. It wasn't about breaking someone.
Right.
So that's why, and their hints is when it comes from India, when the monks had it, because they were peaceful people. So they used to use it against robbers when they traveled. They could subdue them, and the person would flee. When they tried to rob them, they could hurt them, put them to sleep.
Right.
They can even kill them. So the art has different levels to it of the type of force that a person needs to use, but it gives you that option.
Right.
That's the beauty of it.
Right.
Man.
Right. That's interesting. And how is now, because we can't overlook our brothers from Dagestan and how they're bringing the wrestling and the sambo and things like that into jiu-jitsu. How is that? How do you feel that's affecting the way the people who are practicing jiu-jitsu? Because, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Sambo has been around a long time. It has the same origins as how I just explained how judo or jiu-jitsu, judo is a sport, how it came to Japan. And so that same source went to Russia.
Okay.
And from there, there's a great book that John Donahue wrote years ago when he had hair. Shout out to John Donahue. This book has black and white photos of him and Henzo Gracie, and it has a whole history of jiu-jitsu in that book. It's detailed, and it talks about sambo and these things. If you look at sambo,
Wait, John Danaher is in the book, or he wrote
he
the book?
wrote the book,
Oh, he wrote the
and
book.
he's in the book.
He's a historian
techniques.
anyway, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so sambo, if you look at it, you have wrestling shoes on,
Yeah.
and you have a judo top.
Right.
So there's the mix right there. There's
Okay.
the mix.
Okay.
Wrestling and judo. Roman Greco freestyle with judo, because they wear the gi as well. They
Right.
wear red or black. Ironically enough, the Machados and Gracies, Hickson to be specific, and Hagen and John Jock, they competed, and John
remember that.
Machado,
Yeah.
in sambo competitions when they got to the U.S. and other places.
Oh, wow.
This is from Holes. Holes started to compete in wrestling. He started to take them to the different grappling arts before he passed. And so they kept doing that. Hagen was telling me, Machado, that he was actually the California State Roman Greco champion at one time. He came there as a jiu-jitsu master, young.
Yeah.
He wrestled which is not easy, the state of California.
Right.
And he did wrestling and ended up becoming a champion for the state of California, which is one of the biggest, the most populous states in America.
Oh, wow.
So they have a deep grappling history. One thing I like is that in terms of diversity, Gokar Novinsky, who is a judoka, who also knows sambo and different things like that, right?
Yeah.
Judo Gene LaBelle. The Machados, they work extensively with these guys.
Okay.
Right. So they're not closed-minded per se. That's why even our jiu-jitsu is open, because we embrace all the grappling systems, right? And so Eddie Bravo was able to develop his whole system from the base of that. The lockdown, if you go to old Judo Gene LaBelle books, that's a move that they used to use. They created. Right. So I digress. That's part of the development of that.
And that whole wrestling from that sort of ex-Soviet Union countries like Dagestan and Chechnya and Georgia and those places.
Yes.
How do you think that's affecting jiu-jitsu today? People coming into jiu-jitsu with those type of backgrounds.
I think wrestling is always a good. It's like building a foundation. It's always a good foundation. I think you can't stop at wrestling, and they don't stop at wrestling. If people don't think that Islam or Khabib and these guys train jiu-jitsu, they're absolutely incorrect. You have to have jiu-jitsu in your mix. If you just have wrestling, it won't work. But it is a great the conditioning, the grind, the pressure, different things of that nature. I think for MMA, wrestling has always worked well.
Yeah.
You have Mark Coleman,
the aggression of it.
Kevin Randleman, the closeness to stop.
Shamrock, old
Ken
school.
Shamrock.
He was a wrestler, right?
Frank Shamrock. All these guys were great UFC fighters.
Right.
Randy Couture.
Yeah.
John Jones. He didn't stop with wrestling. John Jones came with wrestling.
Yeah.
Roman Greco. But obviously he evolved. He trains with Gordon Ryan and these guys now. But he still trains wrestling. So I think as a base, it's great. It's very good. I think it's smoking mirrors if people think that you're going to just be a wrestler and you're going to come and win UFC, or you're going to do very well in a no-gi grappling tournament. I've seen that go south on people.
Doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work that way.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this episode before we close out? We're going to shorten it up because we got a lot of things we're going to come to in the future. I had a question for you. One of the viewers asked for you to talk about training children in jiu-jitsu and asking them what's the best way to get their sons and daughters started in jiu-jitsu. Okay. So I wanted to throw that out there because I promised the viewer that I would bring that to their attention.
That's an excellent question. I think what we'll do is because that's a different topic.
Okay.
We'll cap this one here, and then we'll go to that now in our next segment. I can address that.
We can expand on that.
Yes.
Okay, no problem. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and please join us next time. If you enjoy what you see and what you hear, please like, share, comment, and we're open to your comments, to your feedback, to your questions. Please contact us and let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you once again, Professor Ismail, for coming, and we'll see you guys soon. All right. Assalamu alaikum.